In this tutorial, we will explore the different user interaction approaches that we can implement to access skills in Alexa. Alexa follows the pattern called request-response pattern to establish communication between skills and the user of the skills. The requests are delegated to the service, which takes the responsibility of preparing the response back to the user. To implement a request-response pattern, it used the HTTP endpoint. We can use HTTP over SSL and TLS to create a secure communication environment. To interact with the Alexa skill service, which is deployed in cloud, the user receives a post request with JSON body. The JSON body contains various elements, where the payload is one of the integral parts. The request body contains parameters for the service, which takes the responsibility of providing the required information to the service to execute the logic. Once execution of the logic is complete, it generates JSON formatted response, which is sent back to the device to ensure that it uses a voice-over interface to interpret the response. Now, let's explore the request format elements. First, we have the HTTP header, which contains metadata of the request. For example, it contains HTTP requests type along with that it contains the required metadata information for the request processor to process the request. Next, we have a request body. Request body uses a particular body syntax to prepare the body. The body parameters define the body. Then, to identify the locale of the request that was created, it builds a request locale, which keeps the information about localization. Following that, we have session object, which keeps track of the sessions, which have been invoked between the user and the skill, which is to be served to the user. To ensure proper control and manipulation skill at a low level, we have certain objects such as context objects and system objects. Context and system objects help developers set up the context parameters and system parameters to have better control over the skill request processing mechanism. Next, we have audio player objects, which provide the capability of manipulating the audio. Now, let's explore a sample HTTP header. Request header has the information such as post, which has the information of the method. It also provides information on the HTTP version. Next, for content negotiation, it has the information of the content type, where the content type in the case of Alexa request is application JSON. It also has the information of the character set, which is implemented using UTF-8. It also contains the information of the application endpoint in the host parameter. Moreover, depending on the length of the content, it populates content length attributes. To ensure that it accepts the specific MIME type, it has accept attribute. The type of accept in our case is application JSON. It can't interpret any format except application JSON. Then it also information of the character set of the accept. Apart from that, it has a signature attribute and signature certificate chain URL, which is the path to a PEM file, which contains the certificate. Now, let's explore the response format. The response contains the header, which contains information that must be interpreted by the user before it extracts the payload. The entire payload is present in response, where it is categorized into various types. For example, we have body syntax, parameters, and response object. Moreover, we have output speech, which contains the texts that need to be voiced by your device. Next, to ensure that all the communication is decoupled from each other, it uses card objects. Then, we have reprompt and error objects to work with error or prompt the error. In the sample response header object, we have HTTP, which is the protocol of the response. Then we have the version information and the status code. Next, we specify the content type, which is application JSON, as well as the characters set. Finally, we have the content length, which will contain the value, which is equal to the size of the payload that has returned to the client.